This gentleman here in the front.
Matthew Lee, Inner City Press, on behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access. Thanks a lot for this briefing. You got a lot of people here. On topic, I wanted to know how this relates to or may work with. There's a World Bank project that covered before called Identification for Development, which is specifically on developing countries and stuff like that. So do you think there's anything you can take from them? Are you going to work with that? And then also, I'd come in part because I thought that this was sponsored by the Office of Partnerships. And I have a question. There's been, you all may or may not know, given that you're in the UN building, there's a kind of there's a UN scandal. There were 6 indictments, including the indictment of the former PGA John Ashe and of a number of people. This happened in October. There's been a UN audit which said basically that the UN Office of Partnerships doesn't do any due diligence, did no due diligence before partnering with outside business interests. So I wanted to know, if you can, what are they here in the room that they can answer that? UNDP and its South office, you may have heard of them. They're part of this thing. I guess I'm highlighting to you that there's controversy has arisen in terms of the ease with which the UN partners with business. So is that your perception? And where's Office of Partnership? Thanks.
On the second question, that I have no knowledge, understanding, and is nothing to do with the topic of rescuing girls who've been trafficked. So by all means, find somebody to talk to, but it's not anybody.
The stated sponsor of the press conference is the Office of Partnership. So I'm wondering, are they here? It says press conference by them.
It's sponsored by UNDP.
It's not what it says in the media alert.
Sponsored by UNDP. We can have a discussion about it.
Okay.
Okay, so go back to the first question.
Sure.
So the first question, restate it again, sorry.
I guess it has to do, I mean, if you're limiting it to that, it has to do with whether this project is going to work with World
So
Bank.
ID40. So
Yes.
we're part of the ID40 working group. ID40 is a fantastic initiative. It's one interesting thing to ask yourself here around capabilities in terms of, I struggle, and I've got an engineering background, I struggle with this technology. And at the same time, the policy implications of the developing world are incredibly complex as well. And I think there's been a number of statements today around this isn't a problem that can be tackled by one organization. We have to partner with people. So UNDP has got a fantastic array of skills. Sorry, I was thinking about ID40. World Bank has got a fantastic array of skills. So we're part of their working group. At the same time, there's somebody quoted a sentence to me the other day that poverty and the developing world are not necessarily geographically linked. So we have a situation in Calais in northern France at the moment with refugees. I do not believe the World Bank has a mandate to go and do projects in France. You'll have to check that because I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty positive in the northwest of England, in Manchester, the World Bank doesn't have a mandate yet. There's poverty and lack of identity and financial exclusion in the northwest of England. I know that because that's where I'm from. So we are collaborating with people who are looking at doing projects in those areas. What's really interesting to think about, if we think about technology, is we have an ambition to find systems that can work for the last child. However, if I were to go to my boss and say, I'm going to find some new technology and test it on the hardest possible thing, he'd go, right, is there anywhere else you can test it that might be a bit easier first? So one of the things that we are investigating is maybe you can trial this technology in a less challenging environment and establish if it works there, and then move it to a more challenging environment. So all of these are questions to be asked. And ID40 would love to know if there's a system, an identity system being deployed in the northwest of England that actually worked, and could that be deployed in one of their projects in a developing country? And that's where you facilitate partnership. So we have established and have an ongoing partnership with ID40. And it's a super team. And if you actually look on the World Bank website, I'm on the World Bank website, and Mariana Dahan, who kicked that project off, was very much part of creating the link between ID 2020 and the World Bank. So it's a tremendous partnership.
Let me just also add, I also have no comment on the issue of the UN Office for Partnerships. We were approached by both ID 2020 and UNOP to participate in this event. We were happy to do so. UNDP is also part of the working group of the World Bank's ID for Development initiative. I discussed this recently with my Assistant Secretary General. It would be ridiculous and pointless, we feel, for the UN system to try to come up with any form of alternative or parallel system of policy principles in identity management, which is exactly what the ID for Development initiative is all about. So we're happy to sign up to and work with ID4D and the World Bank to try and have that initiative be as successful as it can.
Yeah, we have to get back upstairs because we've got things